those of you who don't know me, I'm Candice. I am the co-CEO of Disco, and I'm so excited about this wonderful fireside chat with Greg Shove. Greg, welcome. We're thrilled to have
Thank,
you.
thank you. I'm in London, England, not Ontario, and I'm just making a cup of tea. This is what you do at around this time, 5 o'clock my time. It's tea time.
And it's absolute tea time, and I will join you, even though I am in Toronto. So here you go. This is fantastic. We're thrilled to have everyone here. I want to make sure we just give people a few minutes to show up. And I've been really looking forward to this conversation all summer. For those of you who don't know Greg, I had the pleasure of meeting Greg when I started Disco. And Greg is really a powerhouse of knowledge when it comes to learning and AI and running, specifically learning businesses. Greg is the CEO of Section, which he's going to tell us all about. It's actually very meta because it's a AI school in which he's using lots of AI to run his school. He is also, I'm going to talk a lot about this, a prolific writer. So I'm just blown away by how much amazing content you're writing these days about the future of AI and how to get as much productivity out of it. You're also the CEO of Machine Partners, and the list goes on and on. I think it's like 6 companies, massive exits, Apple, AOL, like thing all the way back. But what I'm,
Now you're
I'm
dating. Now you're dating me. Now you're dating me. So just
we'll leave it there.
all right.
The thing that I find so great is you have such a vision for the future, and you're also very pragmatic and practical. And that's a really rare skill to find in someone. So thank you for being here. And we're going to make this a dialogue and very collaborative. And I thought we'll spend the time in 3 parts today. One, you have some really interesting ideas about AI at large for any business leader. And so I want to give you some space and time to share how you're thinking about executives thinking about AI. The second part of the conversation, let's dive into the actual nitty gritty of like, how are you using AI to run Section and scale Section? And the third, let's let our imaginations drift a little bit further out and say, what does this future, a learning academy look like 5 to 10 years from now?
Awesome. Let's do it. I'm excited. Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. So first off, tell us a bit about the journey of Section, because
Sure.
with Section, it was not an AI academy.
Yep.
How has Section evolved in your sort of
First of all, yeah. I want to establish right off the top that I'm an AI optimist. I'm not a maximalist yet, but I would consider myself an optimist. So I'm all in on AI. I think that it will be a transformative force in work, maybe humanity, and in unexpected and not good ways as well. So I think there'll be significant, I think political, frankly, cultural and work upheaval and disruption because of AI in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years. But I think a lot of good come out of it. I do think that it will impact almost every job in some way. It won't replace a lot of people, I don't think, in the short term ever, but I do think it will impact all of us and that we'll be using AI to get our jobs done in some way. So I'm an AI optimist. I need to put that out there. I'm not a doomer. I'm pragmatic though, and I do think this will be hard, comes with bumps in the roads kind of thing, and a lot of unintended consequences. And I don't like the fact that currently AI is in the power of just a very few companies. If I had to say what my biggest concern was, if you zoom out, it's the fact that really only less than a handful, maybe only 2 or 3 companies will really own the general purpose AI that we use every day. And that's really concerning from my perspective. And they'll likely, obviously, the US companies only at this point. Europe has decided not to participate in AI for some crazy reason. I got into AI because I'm 62 and I want to work for at least 10 more years. And I think I have at least one more startup in me after Section and Machine and Partners. Maybe not, we'll see. But I like working. I don't always like the stress of it in terms of startup stress, but I like working. I tend to work for a while. And I realized I would need a cognitive edge. And when I first played around with GPT 3.5, I realized, oh, maybe this might be my cognitive edge. And so that's why I was drawn to it personally over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. And then secondly, I've made money with my companies when I've been able to get on a wave, either intentionally or accidentally or a bit of both. And I've had some good exits in terms of my startups, and some of them, and some of I've closed down. Some have obviously just failed, which is the most likely outcome of any startup. And when I have, it's because I've been early on a wave, and this obviously is a wave that I thought we should get on it early.
I'm not
We started as a business school.
great.
Yep.
Just give me 1 second. I'm having an issue on getting questions or our chat enabled here, and it's not intentional. So I want to be like deeply present to listen and allow our audience to do that. So just give me 1 second.
No problem.
Difficulty here.
Yes, I'm just going to um I think
I can only see chat to hosts and panelists. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's not what I'm looking to do. I just is on a weird setting. So rather than pretend I think this is solved, let's just solve it. And then
yeah,
I'll
let's
move
just
on. Sorry about that.
chat. Everyone can chat. Okay. I think we are good now.
Amazing. So thank you.
There we go.
Now I can be like deeply present into this versus saying, what is this happening while we're here? So panelists, or attendees, thank you. There's such a great audience here, 75 people, all very excited to also be a part of this conversation. So there we go.
Okay, so I got into AI because I'm old and I needed an edge and I wanted to catch a wave. And so we were a business school, and as obviously because you and I have talked lots of times around the magic of cohort learning or live learning. So we are primarily a live learning platform, although that's not the only format that we teach in now. But we are primarily a live learning or cohort-based format, and teaching business schools, business skills and management skills to mostly mid-career, early to mid-career employees and consumers. And that still is the core, not the core of our business, but it's the origin of our business. The shift to AI was, let's start teaching AI as quickly as we can so people are ready, and let's give them access to AI soon, fast, so that they get up that learning curve. And also, we'll have to go back and rebuild every one of our business classes at some point. I don't have the time and money right now to do it, so I'm focused just on AI classes, but we'll have to go back and rebuild almost every class, because you won't do anything not through the lens of AI. You're going to manage people through the lens of using AI to help you do that. Of course, we'll also have to teach managers how to manage AI. So the management class in a year or two that we update or create will be managing people and AI at the same time, because we'll expect our managers to manage their AIs as well as their human teammates. So I think almost every sort of business topic has to get retaught, if you will, through this lens of AI. So that's on the horizon for us, but we've decided to focus on AI courses. And we think about it as get people up through that learning curve. Getting into AI is about 10 hours of frustration, at least, maybe more. And we try to shorten that to 2 or 3 hours of work, of study, of practice, and practice, and get people proficient as quickly as possible. Lower anxiety and raise competence is how I think about our core mission as it relates to AI in the context of knowledge workers. And still with a business focus, meaning we don't teach technical classes. We'll let other people teach how to program, how to build AI apps and stuff like that. So we are only teaching really knowledge workers, business people. So people in HR, people in marketing, people in sales, right? People in management, how to get value from AI. And as I said, I think we have to lower anxiety is the first step, and then raise competency, get past all the hype, all the misinformation. A lot of us have been educated about AI from media. And media is just a giant source of misinformation, either hype or gloom, right? Just because that's what gets clicks. And so that's how people write these stories about AI. And that's just not a good place to learn about AI. And you can go to YouTube and do it yourself. If you're a DIYer, you've got that motivation and that interest, go to YouTube. It's free. It's all there. But we obviously try to package it and present it in a way that in a couple hours, in 3 or 4 hours, something like that, we get people to be proficient. And so that's what we've been doing the last 18 months. We've trained 14,000 people in terms of our AI classes, 50,000 total students the last 4 years, but 14,000 on AI. And I've probably taught 2,000 personally, 2,000 executives on how to think about their sort of AI strategy. So we have strategy classes, like how to think about AI and how to deploy AI. And then we have, of course, very tactical classes, how to use AI to do certain things. Most people want to learn how to prompt. And then I think correctly, they say to themselves, how do I use AI for my function, my business, my task, my job? So we teach AI for marketing, AI for sales, AI for finance, and so on. Because pretty quickly, if you know how to use AI, you want to make it relevant to yourself and get your job done, frankly, a little bit easier. And so I think that's sort of the promise of AI. We'll see. By the way, time savings don't equal productivity gains. So I try to be disciplined around telling executives, you can see the time savings, but that doesn't always mean we get productivity gains. Right? What do you do with the time saving? Maybe you go walk the dog, right? And that's fine too, right? Maybe you work a little harder. I don't know. That's up to the employee at this point, how we convert the time savings and the efficiency that AI will probably give us. Do we convert it into productivity? Does it convert into meaningful business outcomes? I think it will in some cases. In other cases, it won't. Email was incredibly productive for us for a while, and now we burn so many hours in email. So not everything turns into real
Right.
productivity.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful point of view, right? Which is just because you're saving the time doesn't mean you're filling it with,
Yeah.
more productivity. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is you talked about there's sort of four major scenes of how AI can be used, right? Or how you can really leverage AI. And I thought maybe it's just a great start for this conversation. And there's so much I want to get through. So we're going to move fast, but just four categories of where you think AI can help people the most in their work.
Okay, what are the four? I don't know.
And I can talk about a couple of them. I think
What
one,
strategist? The strategist, the
the soft
creator, the
partner,
analyst.
analyzing,
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah. So
I
right.
think it was
Yeah,
really helpful.
yeah, yeah. The AI personas. Yeah, we think about it. We think about it as the AI personas. Probably the creator, the strategist, the analyst, and then probably the assistant would be the four personas. I personally, the strategist is the one that has the most value for me. And I now call that AI as thought partner. I think AI as thought partner is the most underrated sort of use of AI, if you will. I think that if you get comfortable loading your data into AI, and this is a key step, but I think it's often overlooked. AI without using your own data is often like a bad search result. So don't do that. Like use Google. But
Yeah.
if you can get comfortable and or your company will let you, which they should, and more are now, start to try to use AI with your data. That might be your product roadmap, your marketing plan, your customer data, whatever it is, not PII data, not sensitive data, but customer data in aggregate, like customer survey data in terms of survey responses, which is one of the things we do at Section. AI gives us all of our V1 interpretation of all of our consumer surveys. So we get thousands of surveys every month back from our students, and AI basically runs the first analysis of both the quantitative and qualitative feedback of those surveys. Use your own data. When you use your own data in a personal use case, might be your medical, your health information, which is something I do all the time. I share all my blood labs. I share all my medical stuff with AI, and then talk to it and get a second opinion. Once you do that, you can see the power of AI as thought partner, which is it's just that much more relevant to you, and it really is just we all make decisions from our own experience, from our own bias. We have our strengths, right? We have our muscles that are strong, but we have a lot of weak muscles as well, cognitive muscles. And AI doesn't have any weak cognitive muscles. AI does not have blind spots. We have blind spots in terms of how we make decisions. So I love this idea of AI as thought partner, and I think it can be for small, everyday decisions all the way to those bigger, high value, high stakes decisions. Could be anything, whether
No,
personal or business.
I
Yeah,
we could spend so much time on all these different ways that you are currently using it, and I highly recommend. I want you should take Greg's crash course. I don't know if you're offering that, but that I know that just even in getting like the meta frameworks for how to think about it is really useful. But what I want to focus on today, we're a platform that is helping lots of academies build, manage, create, and scale their learning programs. And we've embedded AI at Disco in a variety of different places in the product to really try and drive efficiency, productivity, and creativity. And so I'm really interested, like, how have you started thinking about using AI? And let's like go into a lot of detail. I mean, I like something you said. I was reading one of your essays about like high and low work, and I thought that was like really
yeah,
apropos. So, the high work
sure.
is AI as that thought partner, but it's also in these lower, and maybe you can explain what you mean by that, because I actually think it's very relevant for all the leaders of business here, learning businesses. But I'd love to start walking through like, where is AI
Sure.
helping you run section?
Yep. So let's zoom out for a sec, then we'll zoom in and we will get tactical and I'll give you lots of specific examples. But when you zoom out, we think about, and this is one of the things we teach executives, we use a framework called OAT, optimize, accelerate, transform, OAT. And I think this is a great strategy framework for all of us, big companies, Fortune 500, right down to a small startup with a handful of employees. Use this framework, optimize, accelerate, transform. Optimize means how can I use generative AI, typically off the shelf AI, right? AI you can buy for $20 a month, GPT,
Yeah.
Claude, Perplexity, whatever. How can I use AI to optimize my workflows internally? Just optimize my workday in any ways. So sometimes in very small ways, doesn't matter. It all adds up, right? So that to me is optimize. I'll talk about what we do at Section for Optimize. Accelerate for us means how do I make my product or service better such that I can charge more money or retain customers or make them happier and accelerate my business. So that means with more intentionality, I'm trying to change what I offer to customers in some significant way using AI. So basically embed AI into my product or service. Easier for software companies, right? That's why software companies were the first to add AI features. It's easier to put AI into software roadmaps and build tiers of products and put prices against those tiers and actually build a business case, right? Harder for other companies, but we're now starting to see people embedding AI into their products or services and then either charging more or hoping more satisfied customers or both, right? You want to get meaningful business metrics out of Accelerate. And then Transform is, holy shit, I'm either under so much threat from AI, existential risk, or I see such opportunity. I just can't let it go. I got to go after it. And I want to make a more significant transformative bet on AI.
Yeah.
How I think about organizations, 100% of us, every organization should be optimizing today with off-the-shelf AI, at least running pilots to demonstrate that can work. You can get optimization. Probably today, 50% of organizations should be thinking about and or trying to build AI features into their product or service roadmaps. Probably 10% of us are transforming, not more than that, meaning like I got to do something, right? I'm going to get crushed by AI. Media companies are probably somewhere between accelerate and transform. Learning businesses, the business we're in, you're in, we're somewhere between accelerate and transform. As a minimum, we have to make our products better, and we can with AI. And maybe AI will mean we got to rebuild the product, right?
You look at your section, you transformed your business, right? In many ways.
Yeah, to some extent, almost. I'll show you what we're planning because it'll be more radical than what we've done for sure soon. Because I'm not sure we're going to be taking courses in 5 years. So to answer your third,
I love it.
to answer your third, yeah, to answer your third question around, let's look ahead. I think when we look ahead, I'm not sure we're going to be taking courses, but optimize for us at Section. First of all, I want to admit it took me a while to get the team on board. So I'd say for at least 3 to 6 months, I was crazy Greg, CEO, in love with the shiny new object, and everybody else is, Greg, we're busy. We have work to do. We're a small team, 25, 30 people at Section, everybody busy. And so I would say I made some mistakes in terms of getting people on board and seeing the potential of it for internal use. Eventually, though, we figured it out. We provide GPT and Claude to everybody. And I think Perplexity as well, or we will if anybody asks. And plus, we'll reimburse anybody if they want to try an AI tool for a few months. We'll obviously reimburse for kind of any AI. So I'd say our AI bill annually, Candice, is about $25,000 for the 30 of us, something like that. A no-brainer from my perspective as an ROI. So that took us a few months to get going, but now
And
I would say every,
some of the mistakes when you talk.
first of all, I didn't make it clear. I didn't make it clear what our sort of point of view was and what the rules of the road were. It was just me saying, hey, this is amazing. Check it out. It's going to blow your mind. Try this versus really being a little more thoughtful around what is our sort of manifesto at Section around how we think about it. How do we lower the anxiety?
Yeah.
Some of my own team were concerned around, well, what about my job, right? I do that right now. What's going to happen to my job? And that's fair. And then we hadn't thought that through, right? It was obvious to me no one was going to get laid off because we're growing as a company. So we're hiring. So it was obvious to me, I'm not going to lay anybody off. I want to make us all more productive, but I wasn't explicit about that. It was just, I thought everybody would realize that's what my intent was. Workforce anxiety is at all-time highs, I think, in many economies and certainly in the US. Yeah, I think we weren't as intentional or clear around what we were thinking. We were just trying to encourage people to do it.
On the use cases, right? So when you think
Yeah.
about,
So then we just first of all, we're a content company. So it's easy. It's if we didn't get value from AI, shame on us, right? Because at the core, a learning business is a business that generates a lot of original content. And so the generative AI was built for that. That's why it's called generative AI. We applied it there first, as you can imagine. Some specific examples. When we interview new faculty now, they have a lot of great ideas and they've got some concepts that they've developed because they've tried them at work because most of our faculty are practitioners, but they often don't have them developed into frameworks, like really robust mental models. And we've trained a GPT. So we built a GPT, which is basically an off-the-shelf bought from it's an OpenAI product, right? Or it's a feature of OpenAI ChatGPT. We've built a GPT and trained it so that we can take all those interview notes from a potential faculty, a subject matter expert, and turn it into very robust course outlines, including a framework. So we asked the AI to develop some options for a framework or a mental model or a rubric that would represent the expertise of this executive or practitioner. That works very well. We use another GPT to take the notes and including the audio from the transcript from the first lecture, and then turn that into a very robust slide deck. So we've got the framework from the professor or the faculty member. Now we're actually beginning to build their slides. And again, it's taken us a while. It's not first time. It's great. And I'd say in some cases, Candice, we would abandon this effort because we were so frustrated it wasn't working that well. And then we come back to it a few months later, and some combination of we persevere, the AI is a little bit better in terms of the improvement in the models for whatever reason, then we find a way to get it to work. Some of it's just the prompting. We're learning how to prompt better, how to train the AI a little better, let's say. What else do? We do a lot of, if we're coming to a new topic and we haven't got one subject matter expert, but we've got maybe a few. So we're talking to people around a new course idea who are experts, but there isn't one. So we have another GPT that we've built that takes the feedback, the transcripts from those conversations, also takes industry research that's available and merges the two, and again, creates a course outline. So we can essentially find a faster way to a course outline than just thinking it through ourselves, which is just brute force cognitive work, right? We're trying to really get these key milestones in building a new course. We're trying to shorten all of them so that our goal, and we're almost there, was a course would take between 90 and 120 days to build from a standing start, including the video. And I'll talk about that in a moment. We are trying to compress that to 30 days. So if we had a topic like the idea and maybe access to a subject matter expert, maybe not, that we could get a course, which would be about 2 hours of video and a live lecture, not a boot camp, but a short course. We could get that built in 30 days and filmed and the video actually created. And that's basically taking these milestone moments. Do you have a course outline? Do you have a course framework or mental model? Do you have a script? So first 6 months, we could not get AI to write scripts. And I'd say it was the number one thing that our team wanted AI to do, because script writing is hard, very time intensive. It's just hard work. And now we gave up after about 6 months and said, forget it doesn't work. And we've returned to it recently. The woman on our team is just amazing. And she's just been dogged and determined to get AI to work. And we have it now where we believe we get a very good V1 script from all the source material, the outline we provided, the framework, these other assets. And from that, AI gives us a good script with production notes. So if we go into a studio, like we're ready to film, we don't go in the studio anymore. So I'd say the biggest sort of cost savings, maybe raw cost savings from AI for us, is we no longer go into studios. So all of our asynchronous or on-demand video is filmed using avatars. So we use a platform called HeyGen, one of the video avatar platforms. Our instructors, again, traditionally or typically practitioners from industry, they need to create a training video, 2 to 3 minute training video with it themselves, right? Voice and visual. And then that is what trains the avatar. And so now their on-demand video in the course is actually synthetically generated. And that is that I think is the future of video for sure, certainly training video. I see no upside in going to a studio anymore. And frankly, nor do our consumers, nor do our customers. We have been piloting this for months. We ran focus groups in New York with people in person. Half of them couldn't tell whether it was synthetic or real. course, we disclose, so it's not about, you're not trying to fool the consumer. We
Mhm.
disclose, obviously, it's an avatar. I don't think people are going to care. And it's a better product.
Yeah.
It's a better product because we can release the course in multiple languages from day one because the avatar can speak in any language. So we're now releasing courses in Spanish and Portuguese and Japanese and so on. That's the first. And the second is we can update them overnight. And so most courses, including almost all the content on LinkedIn Learning and those large sort of dumb libraries of asynchronous video, they're not updated for years. It's not going to work, certainly in an AI world where everything's changing so quickly. So when you have synthetic, you can obviously update the script and recreate the video within minutes. So our promise to our customers is that our AI classes will be updated every 30 days. I would never have made that promise a year ago. I could not have. That would have been just not feasible and financially it's way too expensive. But that is our promise going forward. So super excited about synthetic audio and video. We use 11 Labs for audio. We use HeyGen for video. We also on Zoom, Candice, we offer live real-time translations, both audio and captions
Yeah.
using.
Wow.
So it's cool, right? It's great because 40% of our consumers, they're not in the US or not in English countries.
What's so interesting about what you're saying is it's much more than optimize, right? Because in many ways, you really are. What was the A?
Accelerate. Yeah,
No,
sorry, I would say, yeah, I
optimize.
would say all that's optimized though, Candace. All of that is we're making the same product, right? But just make a little bit of accelerate that.
And the reason I say accelerate is more because you have the ability now to accelerate your growth into other languages.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Other markets potentially.
Doing.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just saving money to do the same thing. It's much more about
Yes.
the ability to accelerate your growth and your offerings and your languages, etc. And even for us at Disco, a huge part where we're seeing people want AI is in all of these pieces, right? So we started like very small, right? Like just being able to help you create lessons from any IP. And all of a sudden, to your point, sneak peek for everybody, we're launching the AI curriculum generator, which literally, as you say, can take any IP you have anywhere and actually create a full, robust cohort-based curriculum, assignments, quizzes, member engagement prompts, all of these pieces. And this just wasn't possible, right? Even 6 months ago.
Why the hell am I making it? Why the hell am I inventing this? I should just buy Disco, right? That's
I know, and it's no, but
I agree.
there's so much going on here, right? And for us, it's like, how can we be really purpose built for learning businesses? Because not
Yeah.
everybody is going to have, the abilities that you have, right, to actually piece all the stuff together. And it's not an
Yeah,
insignificant.
and yeah, but I was serious. Even if I have those abilities, if I don't need to figure it out and I can get it from someone else, I just should. Like I believe like it's a lot. It's just I
It's
think
a
platforms make sense, right? If someone's figured it out and put it into a platform, put it into a workflow already,
sure.
then just get it. That's what I call off the shelf AI. Just get on with it kind of thing. Yeah, here's how I think about it, Candace, for our business. So again, we're about 30 people. We're a learning business. Obviously, we create a lot of content. I've told our board we'll have at least a 20% productivity gain across the company within 12 months, meaning beginning of this year to the end of this year. We certainly hit 10% by spring, summer of this year. I'm confident we'll hit 20%. How do I measure that? It's hard to measure. Listen, we're asking our employees what's changed in your workflows, what's changed in how you work, how do you think about it? It's certainly more anecdotal than you can. We're not asking people to keep track of their time. That's just not worth the effort. If you were doing a large AI deployment that was costing tens of millions of dollars, you would do that, right? You'd hire Accenture and they would actually do those kind of studies to prove the ROI. But in small organizations, like an L&D team, every L&D team I know is getting their budget cut. So they're going to have to find ways to do more with less. That's
For sure.
at least that's my experience of L&D these days. And I think this is one way. It is to optimize and obviously maybe even accelerate in terms of using AI and just make the team more productive. And I do think there's something the AI companies promise this, and it can sound like BS. People will be happier because they'll outsource their drudge work to AI. But we do see that when we talk to particularly the junior members of the team that are doing more repetitive work,
Absolutely.
they are happier because they have been able to find a way to create a little AI workflow, right? And that's like the example of the customer surveys. That's really tedious work going through and reading and processing hundreds or thousands of consumer surveys, right? And just and getting the sentiment and the score and all that. And then having AI do that, it's just great for the analyst that used to do that manually. And now he or she can do it.
So you talked a lot about the creation, right? What about the actual management? Because what a lot of people find really tedious in running learning businesses is the nudging people to come back and to finish their homework and to give them feedback on their assignment and to encourage member dialogue, right? Like, how are you using it? We have a lot of features like that in Disco, or a lot of requests for us to really help automate using AI.
Yeah, and I would say we've done a little bit of we've done a little bit of it, but that's where I think, frankly, we would want to get that from another platform. Meaning, we've had to make that up using our email. Plus, we use Iterable and Segment as our kind of marketing stack, and we use AI to run our email automations.
Yeah.
So AI creates the templates, creates the email, sends and tracks, and so on. So I'd say we're doing okay there in terms of trying to automate out some of the manual work in terms of things like nudges and reminders. That'd be the primary way. What else? How else but just wait, here's what I think about it. We have a team of 30. We have 50, maybe 60 now, 50 to 60 AI-enabled workflows across the company that we can say, listen, that is now a workflow that's been changed by inserting in some way, in a big way or a small way, some sort of off-the-shelf AI. So that's a little bit in sales, a little bit in marketing, a lot in content creation and course development. Maybe not so much in delivery. I'd say delivery of the courses, that student experience has probably been changed the least so far.
Interesting.
That will get, I think, radically changed when we release our Prof AI,
Yeah.
which is going to be soon, where
Okay.
really we want the student to be in a conversational experience.
I love it. So it's a perfect segue. I really want to give the audience a bunch of time for questions because there's such a conversation happening here. But let's talk a little bit. We talked a lot about the learning ops side. Let's talk about the learning experience and Prof AI. And I think Prof AI is most probably the one of what you imagine the future of learning experiences
Yep.
to be. We're big believers in learner facing AI. We have that as well in Disco. So I'm really interested to hear, what do you think is most important about the learner facing AI, and what is Prof AI going to do for the
Yep.
students?
Well, let's anchor this in what students have told us over the last 4 years. 50,000 students, we get 2 requests, or we get high NPS, but we get 2 complaints, if you will. Room for improvement. I want more feedback, what the student says. And the second is, I want it to be more personalized and relevant to me. And if you think about learning, almost all learning today, particularly online learning, is one size fits all. We create one version of the course. Maybe we translate it, but really everybody has the same learner experience. Maybe assignments are changed a little bit. They could be right, but essentially it's a one size fits all kind of model, certainly with video-based learning. And that's not good enough for a lot of learners, and no wonder, therefore, engagement rates of video learning are so low. But that's the feedback we've got for the last 4 years. I want more personalization and customization, and I want feedback on whatever work I do, anything I submit, or if I'm interacting in the learning experience, can I get some feedback on, for example, my project? We tried to provide scale human feedback, human delivered feedback on assignments. We could not make it work. We couldn't find the right business model and kind of labor model, frankly, to provide high quality feedback at scale, thousands of students every month. So we stopped trying. And the personalization is obviously also tough. So we started there, kind of requirement, those 2 requirements in terms of our product roadmap. How could create a learning experience that would know the learner, what industry they're in, what job function they're in, what country they're in, and begin to customize no, I'm not, but
I'm just kidding. I said the same thing all the time because
you have to.
like
Yeah, it makes total sense. And then the second is, if we ask the learner to do anything, answer questions, submit an assignment, submit a project, then can we provide good feedback most of the time? It won't be good all the time, right? We know that. AI doesn't work that way yet. It works pretty well. And certainly you can train out some of the hallucinations and some of the erratic behavior of the AI, and we're having some success doing that. But you have to be willing to accept that it's probably an 80% solution, not a 100% solution, which we think is good, at least for now. But yeah, that's how we started. So Prof has been and just to be fully transparent with everybody, that's been a year in development. It's been hard, much harder than we thought. We spent more money than we wanted, and we're not happy yet with the outcome, but we're getting happier the last few months. and we're going to release Prof AI on 2 courses like any day now. It will then be applied to all of our AI classes or courses first, and then to the whole curriculum, which is about 60 courses. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see how fast we can do it. And Prof AI, I think the way to think about Prof AI and any AI learning experience is it replaces on demand. If you think about on demand or asynchronous learning, it's so deeply flawed that for these reasons and others that I do think that anybody who's built a business on a library of video, I think they will have to move that to some sort of interactive AI conversational experience where you might be serving up video as part of that learning experience, but you're serving it up in the context of a more personalized sort of conversation with the student, with the employee, with the consumer, such that the AI can know who that person is, retain that in memory, and on the fly customized case studies, on the fly customized questions they're asking the student based on, again, who they are or the industry they're in. But I'd say the case studies to me is a great example of where it's so obvious that our case studies, when we teach, are so US based and often very company based, like in terms of case studies. Everybody has Airbnb case studies and all the cool companies. Yet most of our students work not in tech and not in Silicon Valley or not in the US. And they want case studies relevant to them. And AI can generate, if you train it, I can generate good case studies for almost any course. That's been our experience so far. Well, yeah, we're excited. I'd say the best news we've had this past year, if you think about AI news, is the cost of AI has dropped, as you know, about 90%, the cost of token. So the cost of serving the answer, sometimes people call this the cost of inference. Inference is basically the cost of AI. That is the answer of the AI. That has dropped 90%. So we know what big tech is trying to do. They're trying to get us addicted, right? Drop the price as low as possible, use investor capital to fund that. We all use AI, we get addicted to it, and they'll raise the prices in 5 years. So we know the playbook, but it's going to work, meaning if AI is cheap, then we can afford to run it all the time. I was worried a year ago when I did the business plan for Prof AI. My biggest concern was the cost of the conversation based on the cost of tokens, right? If the students were loving the AI and spending a lot of time talking to it, the cost was going to be significant in terms of every conversation. And we probably couldn't afford it, but now we can.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing that up because I think that's a really important aspect of this, right? And the cost to serve. And it's for another conversation, which I'm very passionate about as well, which is the AI governance and who owns this AI and what do we really, that's a whole other conversation. But what I think is really interesting is when we approached learner facing AI, we realized it's actually going to take a little bit of time for people to get comfortable with learner facing AI. And actually, so we actually do answer questions and are able to personalize that, but we feed it to the operator to then feed to the learner
Okay.
as an interim step for certain communities or certain academies that aren't quite ready for that, but it's still hyper personalized and relevant. But I 100% agree with you that we're at this moment where people are becoming much more comfortable with learner facing AI, and that the notion of courses per se or curriculum the way it was is an intermediary step into much more personalized learning modalities. And I think one of the things that is actually a great thing that you've talked about that I'm very passionate about is questions. The prompts that you give AI dictate the quality of the results you get back. And I think this is just a meta comment for learning. And so teaching learners how to learn by actually prompting AI successfully to get the results they want, which is very much what I think personalized case studies, going into the depths, knowing what I don't know or how the AI can actually drive this. And a lot of this is behind the scenes, but a lot of it too is teaching people how to use AI
Yeah, I think
effectively.
that's and yeah, Candice, I think that's a great insight around even building with AI. Because one of the things we learned in the first 9 months of this whole effort was that we had approached it, frankly, like traditional software development, which is a spec, product manager with a spec, and the engineers building the AI, which is really building very complex prompts primarily,
Yeah.
and then running those, sort of running the app. And then then the business user looks at the output and it's not the answer we wanted. But that's a much more iterative process. So I think using a more traditional, it was agile, it was iterative, but it wasn't, it was a process where the business user left the development process, if you will, the engineer built, but it doesn't work that way with AI. You need to be like side by side, the business user looking with the engineer at the prompt almost, right? Running it and seeing what the answer was and then saying, oh, that's a good answer. You can't ask, engineers can validate or user testing can validate, oh, did this feature work the way the spec said the feature should work, right? That kind of works for software. Doesn't work for AI because it is so unpredictable. And there's a judgment call around, is that a good answer? It's not a right or wrong answer, right? Especially in a learning context. Sometimes there's a right or wrong answer, but a lot of it's, if you think about management training and to leadership training and strategy training, it's no, is that a good answer or not a very good answer? You can't ask an engineer or a non-business user to make that call, and they can't compare it to a spec. They have to have a judgment there. So we really retooled after about 9 months and how we build Prof AI and made it much more transparent to the business side, the product
Yeah.
people, what the prompts were, how the prompts were working and what the output of those prompts are so we could dial them up or down. So it was just, that was a big lesson for us. And I think for all of us trying to build with AI, just keep that in mind. You need more subject matter expertise than you probably thought. You need it all the way through the process to validate, is that output from AI actually the output that we thought we wanted, right? And that would actually help the user, in this case, help the student, right?
And I would even say, take it one step further, like teaching learners how to prompt your
Yep.
process will be the biggest value you can give them, because then it becomes they can fish on their own. And so I am a big believer in creating fishermen as opposed to just handing the fish. So
For sure. Yeah. I also, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think there's a cool opportunity too with AI because I think we tend to think about take a course and then go learn how to go do something, right? Which works. Another way would be like you've already done it. Give us that artifact, a product roadmap, a strategy memo, and then the AI will give you feedback on it and then teach you how to make it better. I think that's where I really want to go with this. I want Prof AI.
A tutor
Yeah.
or a coach or a
Right.
mentor
Exactly.
learning, right? And I think it's
Yeah.
this idea of learning in the flow of work as opposed to I take this thing, and then I bring it back. It's just, there is so
Right.
much more opportunity for it to be a living, breathing co-worker where you are learning together and you're teaching it and it's teaching you. And I think that's like a really profound insight that you bring up. I could talk to you for hours. So I'm going to stop doing the talking because there's some amazing questions here and people who are in this webinar. We have over 65 people still here. I know some people most probably had to leave, but let's go to a couple of the questions that some folks have. One of the questions is from Josh. And he said, what are the most common challenges for people learning to use AI? What do you see as like the biggest challenges that they're having to overcome?
Yeah, I think it's a few. One is they just forget to use it. We've grown up in a Google browser world, right? We've grown up in this idea of search answer. And so, and I think we forget. So this will sound mundane. I have a Post-it note on my monitor at home that says, ask AI,
Mhm.
just to remind me.
It's such a
I forget.
yeah.
It exists
Yeah.
now. It's right here. I just don't forget to use it. So that's the first thing. They just forget to use it. The second is they do approach it like search. I think to your point, prompting's important. We were told a year ago, maybe prompting's going to go away and we're going to have the AI won't need prompting. Yet there we have OpenAI releasing a new model about a week ago, right? 1.0. And it needs prompting and frankly, a different type of prompting than GPT-4. So prompting's not going away anytime soon, as far as I can tell. And I think sure agents might come one day and agents will do some of this for us. We won't need to prompt, but we don't know how to prompt. Most people are prompting poorly. Their prompts don't have enough information, not enough context, not enough kind of guidance to the AI. And AI is a PhD and a summer intern merged into one persona, right? The good news, they don't arrive hungover on Monday morning. So the AI turns up ready to work and they're prone to brilliance and prone to incredible stupidity, just like a summer intern. So you've got to give them a lot of direction. And so I think using that as a basic mindset for your prompts is important. And the third would be that people forget it's a conversation and that the conversation does get better and richer the more time you invest in it. And I think we're you got to remember, right? Mantra was the search result had to come back in 1/10 of 1 second. And the new AI from OpenAI, the model released last week, the thinking model, the reasoning model, in fact, is showing the opposite. It'll show you, it says thinking, and then it inserts like the number of seconds, and it's 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 seconds, but it's going through this multiple step reasoning process. So it's the opposite of a Google. It's going to ask you to wait longer and have a longer conversation with it. And I think some of us get frustrated, and I want the answer. It's not that kind of, it's not software and it's not search. So I think we just got to learn how to prompt and change our mindset and then remember to use it, and we'll be fine.
I love it. And Dell asked some really interesting questions specifically around learning design and learning businesses. So her first question was, given the rapid advancements in AI and personalized learning, what do you believe is the future of instructional design? How might the role of instructional designers transform in an era of AI-driven education and assessment?
I think I think an instructional designer will become an AI manager. I think the right way to think about it is, as an instructional designer, I'm the instigator or requester, and I'm the judger. So I'm at the beginning of the process and I'm at the end of the process. And then I'm managing my AIs in the middle of the process to build this course or build this content. So we want to be hands-on keyboard less in terms of creating as instructional designers. We want to be the instigator, meaning we make the request. I want to build this. This is the course. This is the outline. This is the intent I have for the learner. This is the learning hours I have allocated for this topic, for this learner, the parameters, right? I'm the instigator. AI, make this for me. And that won't be a single agent. That will be you as instructional designer managing these different AIs, working together. And then when the output comes out, you're the judge. This is ready for prime time. I can greenlight that course and push it live, or not. It's got to go back and got to be fixed in some way, retooled, whatever. So I think instructional designers, we're going to need them absolutely. But I think, frankly, this is true for a lot of knowledge work. We are going to have to be AI managers, and we're going to have to be judges of quality. And the more we're an expert ourselves, then we'll use that expertise to be a better judge. Everybody gets a good V1. So everybody gets a good shitty course. If you think about AI in general, right? Everybody gets a good V1, but everybody gets a good V1. So how to be great? It won't be using just AI, because then that'll be commodity. Everybody gets AI. So everybody gets a good V1. So we're going to be needed. Our brilliance, our humanity, our creativity, our genius is going to be needed, and that comes at the end to judge, and then to get the AI to do better,
And
give us a better outcome.
yeah, I think that's very true. It's this augmentation, and what comes up for me is the discernment, right? Like that is just a really hard thing, and it's this role of editor that comes up for me as opposed to
Right.
like writer or doer. It's like we all of a sudden now have these incredible tools, but they're democratized. So the best ones are going to have a flair of a certain level of discernment or judgment or creativity that, and I think, the people who use these tools in instructional design, think about how much more time you can spend on editing and discerning and judging as opposed to just
right.
getting it done. Like I feel for, how much work it takes to build these things pre an AI era. Um,
Absolutely.
Last question here, or maybe we'll have time for one or two more, but it's from Sue Todd. Her question is, I thought that the concept of reverse engineering artifacts can move us faster from learning to doing. I think this will be a way to accelerate time to competence, like putting tools in the hands of people, raising a barn together. Is that how you, Greg, are thinking of it?
How am I thinking about it? Yeah, I think about it as, I don't want people to take a course anymore on how to develop a product roadmap or a competitive analysis. I don't want them taking a course. I want them bringing their situation to Prof AI, or to the AI, to the learning experience, which is an AI experience, and saying, listen, I need this. Here's what I need. And tell me what else you need from me in terms of inputs, so you can do this competitive strategy for me, right? This work or this product roadmap for me. Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe start with the end in mind and work back. Maybe that's what reverse engineering is a way to think about it. I think about it more the way you described it, Candace, which is I've got this challenge at this moment and I don't have time to go take a course and that's not scheduled for a week anyway, but I've got to get this deliverable done for my boss or for my team, whatever it is. So I think this idea in the flow of work, and we've been talking about as learning companies and L&D teams, we've been talking about learning in the flow of work for quite a while, and I think it's a cool thing. Like, it's a cool buzzword. I think it's mostly been bullshit, though, the last 10 years. But I do think now with AI, it's more possible. Yeah, another way to think about it is I met the head of L&D at a major global company in London this week, and her comment was she came at it from the coaching platforms like BetterUp and Ezra and others. They're now releasing AI coaches as a way to scale coaching because coaching is expensive when it's delivered by humans. Learning is expensive when delivered by humans, right? And so when you think about coaching as a model, I think we're converging. I think coaching and learning is converging into kind of the same experience. And if you look at an AI coach and an AI learning experience, they're probably going to be more alike than different, which is in this moment, I have this challenge and help me get through this challenge. And that could be a management challenge, right? How to do a performance review or how to handle a tough conversation. And in that moment, you don't want a class. You want the advice on how to, you want the answer. What is the tough conversation? And what is the relationship you have with it? Like all that kind of personalization stuff. That again, so I think the way to think about this for us in the learning business is we're converging probably with the coaching business when you think about inside of organizations.
About tutoring and you look at the results of what tutors, which is personalized learning, giving you feedback on
Yeah.
the work you did, right? And the ability to ask you a question that's relevant to you in your flow of work, the results are out, right? Tutoring
Right.
leads to far, far greater,
Works better. Looks better, right?
but it just hasn't been affordable up until now. And so I think this is the beauty of your vision at Section and our vision at Disco is like, how do we help learning businesses really have the tooling and to be able to have the existing modalities, but evolve them into these new modalities of what it's going to mean to learn, right? And how do you get the most out of the incredible network knowledge that exists in the world? And so I just want to say, like, massive thank you for taking the time to share the
Of course. No, I loved it.
the work
Great.
you're doing. Like, I really, if you haven't taken a course at Section School, you should. I really think your work is outstanding. And
Well, I'll send you a discount code, Candace, for all your. I'll send you a discount code for Disco for your Disco network for sure.
yeah,
So,
I think that
yeah,
would
we would love people to come try it out.
we love talking to people like you because this is what we're passionate about. At Disco, we are truly innovating around how we can be purpose built for academies and to help every step of this, whether it's the learner experience or content generation to program management. We think there's a tremendous amount of OAT available, optimizing your stack, accelerating it, and transforming it. I'm going to start using that from now on. And thank everyone for joining us. I hope everybody had a good time and have a lovely rest of your night in London, England. Thank you, Brian.
I will. Thank you, Candace. This was great. And go Toronto Canadian startup. Love it.
There we go.
We need more. We need more. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Take
Bye.
it easy.